welcome back to the channel. So I realised that this video is now going to be posted almost like a year after the first one came out, but this is because I didn't actually realise how many views and comments there were on the previous video. When I first posted it, it had around 200 views or something, and like one question which I just answered in the comment section because I couldn't make a whole video out of that. And then I was actually logging into my YouTube on another device, but I actually have another YouTube which I use to like watch other people's videos on, and I hadn't been on this channel, so I didn't realise how many views that video now had, and there are a load of questions that have been left. So I've written them all down and I thought I'd just go through and answer them. I'm now over a year post-op, so I feel like I can give a better overview on things now that I'm fully recovered. So I'll just start with the first question, which is, was the surgery during COVID? And no, luckily my surgery wasn't during COVID. It was literally like a couple of weeks before COVID hit. So yeah, I remember going to the hospital on the surgery day, and there were the first kind of coronavirus little like van things in the driveway of the hospital, like the car park, but it hadn't really become a big thing at that point. The second question was, who was my surgeon? I don't know if I should really say, I don't know if he would want me to, but my surgeon actually is kind of a mixture of things. So he's NHS surgeon, but he can do private as well, which is what I did. But originally when I met him, I was going to be having the surgery under the NHS. So I don't think he's someone who can really be just reached out to do a surgery. I think it's more if you're already down for NHS but you want to fast track, you can ask him to go private. But he's a really good surgeon. He's really well known in my area. And someone else asked about the price. I don't really know the exact price because my parents and grandparents helped to pay for the surgery, and they didn't want to tell me how much it was. But I think the surgery was around £5,000, and then the braces, which I had my initial braces on the NHS, but once I went private for the jaw surgery, I had to go private for my braces. So all the kind of tweaks to the braces after the surgery and the retainers and everything, that was all private, and I think that was about £1,000. But I'm not sure 100%, and I feel like each hospital's probably got different prices, and it all depends on how long you stayed in, because they do charge you for each screw, each dose of medication, your nights you stay in the hospital, so it will all depend on how long you're in there and what you need. And also I had double jaw surgery, which took longer than just a single jaw surgery. Another question is, what do you recommend to reduce the swelling quickly? So this was the main thing I wanted. When I had my surgery, I was desperate to make sure that I could reduce the swelling as quickly as I could so I could get back to school. And to reduce the swelling, I would say just constantly have the ice on. I bought just this ice pack strap for my head, which like held the ice packs around my jaw. And I would say just to have that helps reduce the swelling. So ice it all the time, and also make sure you're moving. It's really easy to just kind of lie in bed and not do anything. Obviously the first couple of days, that's what you won't have the energy to move around. But when you can, just doing small walks and being upright really helps reduce the swelling. So even sleeping, if you can sleep upright, that will help as well. Another question was, did I get all the feeling back? And it came back in stages and quite slowly. So I was completely kind of numb for around maybe a week. And then it was weird because I got the feeling back on this top side and that bottom side first, but then those two bits were numb, and around my nose was numb, and like under my eyes. But everything kind of came back slowly and by itself. But I would say I've still got a patch just there, which isn't numb, but it's like when I touch it, it's like tingly. So the nerves I don't think have really healed there, but it's just like a little section under my lower lip. But I would say the rest of the rest of the feeling came back probably after like 2 months. But it's not crazy, like the numbness isn't like, it doesn't stop you from doing things. It's just strange because you touch it and you don't feel anything, but you can still like drink through a cup and everything. It's not like when you have teeth out and they numb your face and you can't like drink or anything. Another question was, will a nose change with just a bottom jaw surgery? And I would say that I think from what I was told, if you just have your bottom jaw done, the nose is fine. It's more if you bring your top jaw forwards, that's obviously going to move the nose tissue, which could make it go like upright. But I spoke to my surgeon and said, I'm really concerned about my nose changing and I really don't want it to get wider and tip up. But he said that he could just do something, and he told me that he actually just shaved, he went into the nose and just shaved down the actual bone of the nose, which means my nose is actually smaller now than it was before, but it just meant it didn't go upright, and it stayed down more. But if you speak to your surgeon, I'm sure they'll find something they can do to help with that and reduce that from happening. Another question was on cleaning your mouth and like how you clean your mouth. And the gross answer to this is you don't. For the first sort of week, you probably won't be able to. After a couple of days, I got a baby toothbrush, so like a newborn, not newborn, but like when your teeth first come through, the really soft toothbrush. And I used that, but I could only get like the front teeth. Like I just couldn't clean back because it's so swollen and you've got all your stitches. You just don't want to be messing around with that. So they actually tell you you shouldn't try and do anything. But you can get they give you these like antiseptic alcohol based mouthwash kind of thing, which is what I used, but it is quite difficult because it's hard to, when your mouth is numb and when you're so swollen, it's hard to kind of spit it out. So it was quite difficult, and it is gross, but after a couple of weeks and the swelling goes down, you'll be able to properly clean your teeth again. And someone else asked about showering, saying like, how easy is it to shower? How does that work? So when you first have your surgery, I didn't shower, which sounds really disgusting, but I was just lying in bed pretty much unconscious. So I didn't really notice it. But you can't really shower because the water pressure, if it hits your face, will really hurt. So I just had baths and I just wore a bikini, and either my nana granny or my mum helped me and washed my hair for me in the bath. But if you just get an old bikini or swimming costume, you can sit in the bath and have someone help you. But that's the only real way to do it because you can't really risk getting the pressure of the water on your face. And also you'll be very weak from not having eaten properly and from all the medication, that just standing in the shower could be quite dangerous for that long of a time. So I had a couple of baths and had my hair washed then, but I didn't do that until about day 4 or 5. Another question was, what was the hardest part of the recovery? I would say not being able to eat normally, because I was someone who would eat quite a lot. So it was really hard to go from that to just nothing. And I think I went about it the wrong way, as before I had the surgery, I was like, this is my last chance to eat for a couple of weeks. I'm going to really go to town. And so I ate so much and I was like, I need to eat everything now because I'm not going to be able to eat it for a little while. And I actually found that if anything, that was worse because it sort of upped my appetite. And then when I went from having so much food to just nothing, it was really difficult. So I'd say the hardest part was probably just being so hungry but not being able to do anything about it. And I found the medication was really bad as well, because it's all liquid form, because you can't have tablets at that point because your mouth won't open wide enough to take a tablet. And all the medication tasted so disgusting. It really was just, it was horrible. I would be sick at the taste of the medication. I'd have the antibiotic, and as soon as it was syringed in, it would come straight back up because I just couldn't swallow it because it was so disgusting. And I think that was probably also the worst part, was just the nausea. I've never experienced anything like that before, but I think that was just personal to me because I am really bad at eating foods and having things I don't like the taste of. So having a medication I didn't like the taste of, normally if I don't like something, I will not eat it. I'm not a type of person who can just say, I'm just going to eat that, I'll force myself. I couldn't do it. So I'd say that was really difficult, and just feeling so nauseous. But that was because I was reacting to the codeine, which I'm just not supposed to have codeine, but I'd never had that before. I'd never tried codeine before, so I didn't know that I would have those effects, but I was just so nauseous from the codeine and being so ill. Someone said the worst days. I would say the worst days was probably day 4 and 5, because day 1 and 2 I was in hospital and I was just on so much morphine. I was asleep the whole time. So even though I have some memories from the hospital, they're kind of dazed. I don't remember most of it. And then the day that I got home as well, I was just kind of asleep on day 3. But day 4 and 5 was when it got really bad because the swelling was at its peak. I started feeling a bit more of the pain, and I was so nauseous and just being sick those days, and I had to go to hospital because of how ill I was, and I was just having kind of mini kind of convulsions and seizures from the lack of food and just being so ill. But that was all down to the codeine, so as long as you're fine with it, then you shouldn't have those effects. Now the question was, how hard actually is it? I would say it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but at the same time it was worse than I thought it was going to be. So in terms of long term, it wasn't actually as bad. Like, the general pain wasn't too bad, because the medication and the fact that you're so numb really does help, because if you have no feeling, you don't have the pain as much. It was more, I felt the pain when I was being sick because your jaw's trying to force itself open, and I hadn't opened my mouth like that yet. And yeah, I'd say the pain wasn't as bad as I expected it to be. I had more pain actually kind of a few weeks in when I got the bands for my braces, because it hurt my teeth, because the feeling in my teeth came back and they were really sensitive. But then again, I would say the hospital experience as well, it isn't as bad as I thought it would be, but the kind of first few days at home was worse, because it was just the discomfort, the not being able to eat and all of that. But I don't think overall it was as bad as I thought. And another question was, how long was it until you felt normal again? And I would say it's kind of in a few stages. So I felt more normal, I'd say even around, like, in the second week, I felt more normal, because the swelling started to go down. And even though I still looked really swollen, I didn't realize how swollen I still was, because in my mind, compared to what it was the week before, it was so much better, and I could finally eat some more solid foods. And I think it was when it was kind of the end of week 2 when I was eating a few more solid foods. I did do that before I was supposed to, but I was just so hungry at that point, I could not go on with just the soups. I just couldn't go on like that. I had to eat something. So I had kind of raspberries, shepherd's pie, like mashed potato, soft pasta kind of thing. I even had cake, like that was actually quite easy to eat. And I felt so much better for just having the energy from the food. And I could go on a few short walks. I left the house, I went to Tesco, and it just felt a lot more normal to actually be moving again. And I could speak more legibly because my mouth wasn't so swollen. And I did feel more normal because I was more independent. I was left by myself while my parents were at work, and I just felt better because I didn't need someone next to me the whole time. So I'd say after kind of a week and a half, you feel a bit more normal, and then to feel properly normal again, it was actually probably 3.5 weeks in. I actually went to a party and I drove myself there, and I did feel more normal there because I was like back involved with like school life and my friends and stuff, and I still like enjoyed myself at the party, and then I just drove myself home at the end of it. And it was just nice to like see people and actually be involved with people, rather than in week 3, kind of halfway through week 3, I went back to school, but I was still so swollen and I was only doing like 2 lessons a day and went home. But just being back like with my friends again was nice. And the final question I got was, what are your jaw surgery essentials? So I'd say the major essentials that I found was ordering from Amazon the like Velcro jaw cooling strap. I think if you just Google, I searched like ice pack for jaw and it came up with loads, and just one you can strap on your head, and it just meant I didn't have to sit holding them, and it was just so much more comfortable, and I could sleep with that on as well. It was actually really nice, and you could heat them up as well if you wanted to. Another essential was an actual cooling whole face mask. So because I had my top jaw done as well, the swelling for that only kicked in after about a week, and it was like all of the top of my face was so puffy and swollen, and having this whole face cooling mask was really useful because that took the swelling down and it really eased it. Another thing I'd say is get a lot of like lip balms and lots of like face moisturizers. They're really important because your skin, because of the stretching, your skin will get really dry, and it's just nice to have a moisturizer. I'd also say eye drops. Weirdly, eye drops was so like crucial because I found your skin at the beginning is really oily for no reason. I don't know why, but it's so oily and it will all get in your eyes and it really hurt. It was like a burning feeling. So I would say that's really important, just to kind of wash your eyes out, and it's really soothing. Another essential would be, I know they're more expensive, but an electric back massager, because my back was so sore and I don't really know why. I think it might have been because I had to sleep kind of hunched over, but it was really painful, and having a back massager was so nice and it really relieved the pain from that. So that was really important. I'd also say at the beginning, before you have the surgery, try and find as many kind of smooth foods you can and get them in your house, like stock up on it, because you will need it. And things like different yogurts, soups, mashed potato, ice creams, cake, just like bread. I had a lot of like those microwave pancakes, like Scotch pancakes. I found them all right to eat because they were soft enough, but they were like satisfying. And what other essentials would I recommend? Oh yeah, I'd say maybe a sheet mask for your face, like a cooling one as well. Those would be quite good. And also make sure you have entertainment, a show that you want to watch, a series. I think I rewatched the whole of Riverdale. It was just something to do because you really won't be able to focus on anything other than maybe watching something. But even so, in the first couple of days, your medication is so strong that just watching a show, you'll be watching it, but you won't actually really be watching it because it's just kind of glazed over. But I'd say those are my main like essentials. And I'm trying to think if there was anything else that I really relied on. I don't think so. I think that's mostly it. But if you have any other questions, leave them below in the comments and I'll try and answer as many as I can. And if you have any other video recommendations you want me to do, then I will make sure to post some of those. But thank you for watching, and I hope that's been helpful for some people, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!